Hello, Tom.
Hi there, how you doing? After a bike ride?
Make a video. Make a YouTube video. Hello. This is old Mr. Kent of Mrkent.com. And I had to stop and talk to the neighbor as I came out of the driveway. And of course, there's the friendly dogs. Anyway, so we're going to go for an e-trike ride. And I'm going to tell you some stories. But first of all, I have had a couple of folks tell me that they were subscribed to my channel, and then all of a sudden they didn't get any notifications, and that, you know, I don't know how come that happened. I know the reason I had trouble with that is because I was messing around with my subscriptions and stuff. So anyway, make sure that if you want to keep getting notified about my videos, that you down near the comments somewhere there's a button that says subscribe, and I got to slow down here a little bit so I don't tip over in the bumps. Anyway, so you click on the subscribe button, and then that little bell that's over to the right of it, you click on that. If you don't click on that, you won't be notified. You'll be subscribed, but you won't know when I'm putting up videos. So, and then a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, it'll come up with what kind of notifications do you want, and you just click on all. So anyway, I hope that, and I'm not looking for subscriptions. I got plenty of subscriptions, but I feel for people who like to hear and watch my videos, and and they can't because they don't get notified that they're coming up. Let's see, I'm going to go through something here. Okay, so story time. I was going to go to when I was in high school, but there's still a couple of things left that I can talk about when I was in junior high. And I keep thinking of them after I've already said I was not going to. So the first one I'll tell you is just kind of a corny thing. But in Seattle, we lived in an old neighborhood, an old house, and it was a big house. Like I said, it had belonged to the governor of the state of Washington. And so it was fancy. It had a fish pond in the backyard. And in the wintertime, that fish pond would freeze over. And when it froze over, then a couple of times I'd break it up, and I'd take a chunk of ice. And we lived on an arterial, which means it had a yellow line down it. And it was Thomas Street, if you want to look it up on Google Earth. Anyway, we lived on that. We lived on a street that was adjacent to that. Okay. So anyway, so people, it wasn't a real busy street, but people would come by about 20, 30 miles an hour. And so I'd take that chunk of ice, take it out, throw it down really hard in the middle of the lane, because it was freezing weather out, and it looked like broken glass. So then I'd stand there, and as a car came, I'd wave them down, and I'd holler, broken glass, and then they'd slow down, roll the window down, and say thank you, and very carefully drive around it. And I would do that until finally the ice started to melt, and you could tell it wasn't broken glass. So that's one story. I just thought I'd share that with you. And then also, I had this friend named Gary. He and I had a lot of fun together, and we would, well, one of the things that he and I did was back then on 15th Avenue, which was just a couple blocks from where I lived, there were businesses on each side of that street. And so one day we were doing something, going somewhere, and we were walking along, and there was this old gas station that had been closed for years, and it had the kind of gas pumps that they used to have originally, which had a glass container at the top. You drive in with your car, and you'd say, "Give me 5 gallons of gas," and they'd pump that up to the level of 5, and then pump the gas out from under the ground, and then you get it up to there, and then they would take the hose and put it in your car, and drain it from that glass container into your gas tank. That's how they used to do it. Well, there was this old gas station that still had that gas pump in it, and it was been closed for a long time. We never paid much attention to it, but we were walking along one day, and we looked at, and here was that gas pump out. It was out by the street, and so I said, "Hey, let's fill up with some gas." And so I said, "Fill me up with some gas." So he took the nozzle off the side of the pump, stuck it in my hip pocket, and pulled the lever, and we went, look, and made sounds. And then I said, "Okay, that's enough," and he hung it up. And then he said, "Well, fill me up." Well, the thing is, we're just goofing around. So I grabbed the pump, and I pumped it a couple of times like they would have back in the old days. And then I stuck the nozzle in his hip pocket, and I pulled the lever, and all that gas came out of that hose and ran into his hip pocket and soaked his pants with gasoline. It's a good thing there wasn't anybody around with a match. So anyway, they soaked his pants, and he had to hurry home and change and take a bath and all that kind of stuff, because it was burning his skin by the time he got home. So anyway, that's one thing that we did. Another thing that we did, kind of being troublemakers, like I said, it was an old neighborhood, and there were a lot of older people living in the houses. And because I mowed lawn, delivered papers, I knew, about where everybody lived. And so I think we had about 3 or 4 or 5 guys. We're out walking around one day, and I came up with this idea. I said, "You guys pretend we'll go up on somebody's lawn. You guys pretend like you're beating up on me, and I'll be screaming, 'Give me my dime back. I want my dime back.'" And so, and then the people will come out, and so the plan was that they'd come out, and then they would call the police, and we would run and hide behind some bushes and watch the police come. Well, and we did that. Now we're coming up to a noisy, busy road, and so I'll finish this story as soon as we get past the noisy, busy road, and we're going to go super fast down this noisy, busy road. Okay, where was I? All right, so we decided we'd try that. So we'd go up on the front lawn, usually in front of the living room window, and they would start acting like they were pounding on me and beating on me, and I was screaming and hollering and saying, "Give me back my dime, I want my dime back." And so then always somebody would come out on the porch and say, "Stop that," and they wouldn't stop. They'd keep doing it. And then they'd say, "We're going to call the police," and then they wouldn't stop. And so then they'd go in the house, and we'd go for about another minute or so, and then we would take off running, and we'd go hide in the bushes. And it was kind of fun because pretty soon the police would show up and go up to the door and knock, and the lady, usually it was a lady. We didn't do it where a big old 6-foot tough guy lived. He'd come out and fix the problem. So anyway, they'd talk to the lady, and she would just tell them they left. So this one time, we did that a couple of times. But this one time we did that. We got up on her lawn and we started wrestling, and they were beating up on me. I was screaming, "Give me my dime!" And they kept going. And pretty soon this lady came out on the porch and she said, "Stop that!" And so they didn't stop. They kept beating on me, and then they are getting some bumps here. So then the lady goes back in the house, and she stood at the window holding up the phone receiver in her hand like she was going to call the police. Of course, we didn't worry too much about it. We fought together for about another minute or so, and then we took off running. And Gary, my friend, instead of going and fighting in his own bush, he came with me, and the two of us were hiding behind this one little bush. And so we're sitting there and we're watching, and pretty soon the police car shows up, and she comes out on the porch and she points right to our bush because she watched where we went. So the police comes, headed down our direction, and of course we were by an alley, so we took off running down the alley. And as we ran down the alley, we got to this one place where you could turn off into somebody's parking area around, and then hide behind their garage. And so that's what we did. And Gary and I, and then pretty soon the policeman, he saw us turn in, but he turned into the one before ours. And he was tall enough he could look over the fence between the two houses, two pieces of property. And I saw him, and so then I just stood still and like I was caught hitting some bumps. So then, but Gary, he's walking, he's crouched behind the fence, going back and forth, and he's saying, "What are we going to do? I don't want to get in trouble with the police. What are we going to do?" And I said, "Gary," he said, "Shh, quiet." I said, "Gary," he says, "Be quiet." Meantime, the policeman's looking over the fence, smiling. And so, finally, I said, "Gary, look up." And so he looks up, and there's the policeman. So a policeman takes us, puts us in the back seat of his car. Now, remember, we're kids. We don't know what's going to happen now. And so he starts driving us around the neighborhood looking for the other kids. And boy, there's a lot of bumps on this road. Anyway, so he's driving around, and one of the things he did is he drove up the alley of where I lived, and my Aunt Chloe, who lived with us, she was in the backyard, and she kind of glanced at the police car but didn't pay any attention because my face was right in the window that she would have seen if she would have seen me. So we thought we were in trouble, but as it turns out, he just let us go and told us to be good boys after that. And of course, we always turned out to be good boys. All right, so anyway, those are some stories. I got one more I should never tell, but I told it to my neighbor, so I'll tell it to you. In that house, where the policeman drove up the alley, was a paved alley, and every once in a while somebody would come run in their car. They'd come going down that alley way too fast, bouncing along, coming in. And so I had my own thoughts on it, and I thought, okay. So I took halfway down the alley, I took some rope, and back then they only had metal garbage cans, and that garbage cans had a handle on them so that the guys with the garbage truck could pick them up and dump them over the top of the trunk, the truck, and so into the back. And so I tied a rope from the trash can on one side of the alley, and across to the other side of the alley, I tied it to another trash can. Well, so then if somebody was coming slow down the alley, they'd see the rope and they'd stop and undo it. But if somebody was coming fast down the alley, it would draw those two garbage cans up against the side of their car. And I don't know if it ever did any damage or not, but I tried it, and I don't know if I should have done that. I don't know if I should even be telling you I did that. But anyway, looks like I'm getting down to the part here where I have to be kind of careful. Anyway, so those are a couple of stories from junior high. And next video, I'll do my best. Tell you what, this is fun. I'll do my best to tell you something from beyond junior high. Something from high school or something. And so, in fact, I got some ideas for stuff from high school. So maybe that'll be on tomorrow's video. Because I go for a bike ride every day. And so I might as well just make a video. All right, so anyway, that's been too long of a story. I want to thank you for watching my video, and God bless.